you've got 230 volts, and the current is going to flow through you to the ground because the ground is at 0. So you're going from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, somehow. But can you explain the bird thing again? That's what I really want to hear.
The bird thing.
Hi guys, welcome to Asher and God, making Africa home again.
One family at a time.
Today we have another interesting episode for you, and it's about electric fencing. This is all part of our security setup system. It's very important we talk about this because, you know, here in Africa, in Ghana, people talk about theft, robbery, and armed robbery. And if you live overseas, UK, America, anywhere in the continent and in the world, you will be very frightened to come live in Africa. But it's not really like that, okay? However, we take precautionary measures to make sure that we don't put ourselves out there to be hurt by anybody. Yeah, so it's very important we talk about that. Anyway, this actually depends on where you live, okay? Because we found out that if you live in an estate here in Ghana, you do not need that. You do not need the electrical fencing for your property, for your house, where if you know where your house in the estate, because the estate all over is secure with the electrical fencing all over the border wall. So you don't need to do that. Yes, but for us, we live in a developing area. We're going to live in a developing area. And obviously, my husband spoke to a guy that has been living there for quite some time. He's from the UK.
Yes, from the UK, and the area is fine. But obviously, he said, you know, it's good to take these extra security measures because obviously, like they say in Ghana, "Krobia mensa wom," which means in every country there's a mensa, and that kind of means in every country there are good people, but there are also bad people. Yeah. So in every area there's always going to be a thief. You know, be it a minor thief or major thief. Yeah, there's no armed robbery or anything like that, but you know, there's always minor thieves here and there looking for the opportunity. And as you say, you know, a thief is dangerous, whether it's a minor thief or not. If they're coming to steal something, especially at nighttime or early morning hours, you know, they're also afraid of their own lives, so they can do anything just to get what they want. So we need that extra security, even though armed robbery is not in that area, and it's reduced significantly. No, it's still around. It's still around.
It's around everywhere though in the world.
Exactly. It's still around, but it has reduced significantly compared to what it used to be some time ago. But it is definitely around. But our area is cool. It's cool.
So we were quite disturbed about that, but from what we found out, it's not really that bad.
No.
You just have to observe your area, find out what other people are doing. So we found out that in our area, almost everyone is putting up the electric fence thing. So we thought, of course, you don't need to ask, you just have to do it.
Exactly. when you go to Rome,
you do like the Romans do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Kay is going to talk us through the steps of getting that sorted.
Yes, absolutely, guys. So in today's video, we'll be covering the following. We're going to explain, you know, what the electric fence actually is for those who don't know or haven't come across it before. We'll explain how the electric fence actually works. So we'll be given an education on how electricity works very briefly, and I'll try and explain it with analogies as simple as possible to help those who are not electrically minded to understand. Okay.
Electrical minded,
exactly. I'll go through the components, the major components of the electric fence system, and then I'll talk about, again, a very important point, the coordination that is required between the electrician and the electric fence installer. Okay, and that is very important, the coordination and communication to avoid rework. Rework can always be an issue. And finally, as we normally do, we will give you an idea of the cost of the electric fence system overall, sorry. So let's get right into it. So the first point is electric fence. What is the electric fence? As the name implies, it is an electrified fence installed for security reasons, and it will typically look like the picture coming up on your screen now. In Ghana, the most common type is the one on your screen right now with straight tension wires, as you can see. However, there is a different type available, and that's also coming on your screen, which is sort of the wires are entangled round and round and round and round above the fence wall. But this one, even though it's around, is a little bit outdated. and it's not as aesthetically pleasing as the one with straight wires.
Yeah, the barbed wire.
The barbed wire, it's a barbed wire. Looks quite messy.
It used to be a trend.
Used to be a trend, yeah. But things change. So it's available if you want it, but it's outdated, and everybody's really going for the straight wires. Okay, so how does it work? Again, I've got an image on your screen whilst I talk. The electric fence, as seen on your screen, has the following main components. It has a number of components, but I'm going to deal with the main ones. The first one is the energizer, okay, which is like almost its power source, okay. In fact, it's power source, the energizer. Then we have the earthing system. Then we have the actual tension wires, as we talked about. How does it work? Electric fence systems work on the principle of current flow and electric shocks, okay. Now, a person or an animal, okay, can only have or experience an electric shock if a part of their body is in contact with the ground and in contact with a live electricity wire at the same time, okay, or in contact with something else that can conduct electricity, like water and electric wire at the same time. Or let's say you are standing on a metal ladder. The metal ladder is touching the ground, and metal conducts electricity. So if you touch the cable, then it's gonna bare hands. Then you're going to have an electric shock. Yeah. But if you're using a dry wooden ladder, then you won't get electric shock because the current can go through the wood. Let's say. But I'll explain that more as we go on.
Basically, the body is a conductor of electricity.
Absolutely, yes. Because the body, has a very low resistance. Why does the body have a low? Animals or human beings? Because our bodies are full of water, and water has a very, very low resistance. Yeah. So that's how it works. Now, if you think about it, a bird rarely gets electrocuted. Yeah. Birds. Obviously, often you see birds, and they're standing on electric wires and and they're not getting electrocuted. That is because both of their feet are on the same wire, and both of their feet are at the same potential. Okay, what do I mean by potential? I mean voltage. Okay, voltage or potential means the same thing. Now, current flows from a higher potential to a lower potential, or a higher voltage to a lower voltage. I'm going to explain this with a water analogy. So imagine this was a floor that is level, and let's say you had a puddle of water here, right? Puddle of water, and the floor is exactly level. Let's imagine that you were able to tilt the floor, tilt it this way. What would happen? The water will begin to drain. Yeah. So the water is flowing from upstream to downstream. The water is flowing from a higher place to a lower place. If I did it this way, the water will flow this way. So like that same analogy, current flows from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. Yeah. The ground where we stand on, the ground is at 0 volts. So if you touch an electric wire, which is like at 230 volts, you've got 230 volts, and the current is going to flow through you to the ground because the ground is at 0. So you're going from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, somehow. But can you explain the bird thing again? That's what I really want to hear.
The bird thing. Okay, the bird thing. I'm gonna come on to that. I'm gonna give a bit more details about that later.
Okay, that's the bit I'll understand.
Great, you will understand that very much so. Yeah. So the current flows from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. Okay, because the ground is at 0, and then maybe a cable is at 230 or something. Now, I've got a circuit on your screen, because this is quite important. Now, 230 volt circuit is made of the phase wire and the neutral wire. Okay, and how electricity works is that the current flows through the phase wire and then flows back to the neutral wire. So it flows to through the phase to the equipment, and then back again to the source via the neutral wire. Now, the phase wire or the live wire is at 230 volts or 220 volts, but the neutral is normally connected to the earth at the source. There's a connection to the neutral. So the neutral is typically at around 0 volts. Yeah. So again, the current is flowing from a higher 230, 220 volts through the neutral to a lower volt. Current flows from high voltage to low voltage. Exactly. And for current to flow, it always has to have a complete circuit. Yeah, you can see the diagram on your screen that the circuit is complete. Okay. what I mean by a circuit being complete, you've got the phase, the current going through the phase and coming back down the neutral. It's like a circle. It's like a loop. Okay, it's like a loop like that. Okay. Now, when an animal or a human being touches the electric fence, okay, the current will flow through that person or the animal, and it will cause a shock.
Right.
Okay. Now, here is the reason. As you've already explained, the current flows through the path of least resistance. Yeah. So normally, the current goes through the phase and comes back by the neutral. But if you're standing on the ground, right, and your hands are wet, or you happen to touch the bare copper wires, the current will flow through your body to the earth. The reason is, normally the current flows to the phase and comes back to neutral. But current, if current has to go through two paths, it goes to the path of least resistance. Because our bodies are full of water, our bodies have a much lower resistance than the neutral return conductor.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So if you happen to touch a cable that is bare copper, like this electric fence, bare copper, the current will flow through your body to the ground instead of going back to the neutral, to the energizer.
Oh, that's what you mean.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, that's why we get that electric shock, or the animal gets that electric shock.
But the bird doesn't.
The bird doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah, I
you're
want to hear
gonna hit the
that
bird.
bit.
The bird is
Yeah.
coming. The bird is coming. Awesome. The bird is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the electric fence system, right, the current flows from the energizer, okay, and it flows into the positive tension wires, or the live wires, okay, and then it comes back to the energizer through the negative tension wires, or the earth wires in this case, and that is how the loop is closed. So normally the power goes out through the phase and comes back through the neutral or the earth wire in this scenario. Positive and then negative. That's how it normally works in a loop like that. Okay, so now we come to the bird example. Yeah, why is the bird not getting an electric shock? Remember that the loop has to be closed. Okay, and also the current needs to flow.
So what's the loop now?
Okay, the loop. Okay, the loop is the circuit. You know, you've got the phase conductor and you've got the neutral conductor. You know, you've got phase neutral. Current goes through the phase, which is at 230 volts.
Right.
The neutral is at 0 volts. So it goes 230 to the equipment and it comes back through the neutral back to the source.
So that's the loop.
That's the loop. It's a circle. It's also
Why did you say circle?
circle. Okay, circle, loop. It's a circuit. Yeah,
Right.
there and back again.
Right.
And the neutral is at 0 volts, but the phase is at 220,
What do you call
230.
a circle or circuit?
It's a circuit, electrical circuit.
Circuit.
Yes,
Oh.
but I'm using the loop to make it
Loop,
simple.
Simple.
Yeah,
Right,
so
like
phase
that.
like that. Yes.
Alright,
So
okay.
phase to the equipment and then neutral back to the source.
Right.
Exactly. So current flows from a higher voltage because the phase is at 220, but the neutral is at 0. So phase, it flows through the higher, then to the lower and back again.
Right.
Yeah, you understand that? Now, okay. Now, in order for you to be electrocuted, okay, you need to be part of that closed loop. Now let's talk about the bird. Why is the bird not getting electrocuted? The bird has 2 feet on the wire.
Yeah.
2 feet on the let's say the phase wire. Yeah. So both of his feet are the same potential. Both at 230.
Right.
But also, remember the current flows from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. If the bird is on this wire, both of his feet are at 230. So both of his feet are at the same potential.
same
Current
potential.
cannot flow. But if the bird had long enough feet, hold this for a sec, please. If the bird had long enough feet and was able to touch the live wire and touch the earth wire at the same time,
Right.
yeah, this is at 0, this is at 230. Current will flow through the bird through here to go back to the source,
Right.
and that's when the bird will be electrocuted and will probably explode.
Mm.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Exactly, because the bird is now connecting these two wires. One is at 230 or 220, the other one is at 0.
Okay.
There's higher, the current will flow from the higher voltage to the lower voltage, and the bird is connecting it. It's forming that loop, that circuit, to go back to where it came from.
This is amazing. Okay, don't laugh.
No,
Because
okay.
I thought there was something
on.
special about the feet of a bird.
Yeah.
That's why it wouldn't get electrocuted. So
I know.
thought so. There's nothing special about it.
Nothing special about
Just-
it at
Just
all.
what you just explained
Just
now.
what I just explained now. If the bird had long feet and it touched the live
Right.
and then touch the earth or the neutral at the same time, it
Right.
will get blown to pieces.
Wow.
Because the current flows through the live, then back down the neutral, or from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. The live is at 230, 220. The neutral is around 0. So the current will flow through the bird. If his feet is on the both lines, and the bird will explode.
Wow.
Or get shocked. Okay.
Wow.
Does that make a bit more sense?
Yeah.
Exactly.
course.
Exactly. Awesome. So that is the principle of electric shock done now, just so you understand how the electric fence system works. Now we're going to talk about the main components. So the energizer is the main component. Again, you can see that on your screen. This is the piece of equipment that connects to your distribution board. This is the piece of equipment that provides, energy to your electric fence. Without this energizer, your electric fence would just be cables, metal with no power. Okay, so basically, the distribution board supplies the energizer. The easiest thing is to have a socket on the wall next to where you want to put the energizer, and the energizer will plug into it. So you've got 230 coming from the distribution board, but the energizer has inside it what we call a step-up transformer. So the energizer steps up the 230 volts to about 10,000 volts. So that electric fence you're seeing is running about 9 or 10,000 volts, which is very, very, very high. So you touch it, it's gonna kill you instantly, or if you're lucky, seriously damage you. And guys, when you get an electric fence system, make sure that you get the energizer that has an integral battery on it or in it. Yeah.
What's integral battery?
I just mean it has the energizer has a battery inside. It's integral to the body of exactly. It's inside.
Yeah. Just a figure of speech.
It's a figure of speech. Yeah, exactly. Why do I say that? Obviously, Ghana, Dumso. Okay, so. If the thief around knows that there's light off, then obviously he'll think you're vulnerable because your electric system will not be working. But it will do if you have a battery inside the energizer that can run for like 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, you don't need any more than that, and therefore, if doom so or not, your electric fence is still up and running.
Could there be batteries that could last longer than that?
There could be, but obviously, the more batteries, the bigger the energizer, the more the cost.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and again, you have to evaluate this based on where you live, based on the stability of electricity where you live, and also based on your installation. Maybe you've got a solar panel system that you've also chosen to back up the energizer with, so you don't need too many batteries per se. So you have to look at everything, and so that you don't overspend where you don't need to overspend. Okay, right. So now we have the earthing system, which is the next major component. Now, as we talked about, the earthing system, and a picture on your diagram on your screen, the earthing system is like the negative terminal. Okay, that is the return path back to the energizer. So the energizer, current flows from the energizer, it flows through the positive terminal or the live, okay, to the fence, and it connects to all the lives, as you can see in the diagram, and then the current comes back via the negative terminal, or what they call earth in this scenario. It comes back to the energizer. Okay, the diagram makes it a bit more self-explanatory. But guys, what you need to note here is that there must be at least 2 earth rods in the ground, right? Because the return earth path connects to those earth rods and then comes back to connect to the negative terminal of the energizer. The energizer will not work if there is no earth return path. Okay, it's because the earth return path is required to complete the loop or the circle or the electric circuit. Yeah, 2 wires are required to complete the electric circuit. Okay, it's just like if you have a piece of equipment that needs phase and neutral, if you just give it a phase, it will not work. The power that goes out has to come back in again. So it's a loop.
That's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, now the tension wires. Tension wires, well, they're obviously, you can see them, you saw them on your screen earlier on. They're either 6 wires or I've seen 8 wires before, but that all depends on the height of your fence wall as well. If your fence wall is very high, then 6 is enough. If your fence wall is probably a medium to short, then maybe you want 8, just to give you a bit more height, really. So that's how it works. Now, there are other smaller components, okay? But before we talk about them, guys, if you haven't watched already, we have a video called how much power you need in your home. You need to understand how much power you need in your home, because the amount of power you need in your home all right, will also be consumed also by the electric fence, energizer, and everything else. So click on the link here, somewhere here. If you haven't watched that video, how much power do you need to run your home? That link will take you there. All right. Okay. Now, let's talk about the other components of the electric fence system. Apart from everything we've discussed, we've just discussed the main components, but there are other smaller components, okay, which are very important. One is a siren. Okay, now why is a siren important? Imagine you have a very clever burglar out there who happens to know all about electrics, and he says, "Oh, electric fence, no problems. I'm gonna come to this house with a dry wooden ladder. I'm gonna wear gloves, and then I'm gonna put a foam over the electric fence. The gloves doesn't conduct electricity. The foam doesn't conduct electricity. The wood is dry. If wood is wet, electricity will go through it because of the water. But the wood is dry, no issues. Yeah. So he cannot get electrocuted. But if you put the foam over the electric fence, the weight of his body will cause the two wires to touch each other. And when they touch each other, the siren will blow. Do you understand? And that will alert you. So you absolutely need the siren to go with it. Number 2, this is an optional extra.
But what if he gets through without touching the fence?
Oh, it's impossible for him to do that.
How?
Because if the wires are quite close together.
I mean, if he jumps over the wire.
Jumps over.
Yeah. If he uses a ladder
to
get over the wire, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but the wall.
He doesn't touch it.
Okay, that's possible, but the wall is very high. Our wall is like 12 foot high. Yeah. What's 12 foot? Well, I can't work out in meters. It's about 12 foot high. Then you've got the electric fence on top of it. So if you had a dry ladder, and if you decide to jump, well, if you're going to jump 12 foot and land on the ground on the other side, then you're gonna do yourself damage. So yeah, it is feasible, but practically nah, because you're going to damage yourself. By the time what's 12 foot? 12 foot is probably about maybe about 4 meters or so. That's and then the electric fence is probably another meter, so like 5 meters. Yeah, which is higher than your floor to ceiling in your house. Your floor to ceiling in your house is probably about 3 meters. This is going to be like 4.5 to 5 meters. There's a long way to jump. So not really feasible for them.
Basically, it's just a deterrent.
Yeah.
Because exactly. From what I heard here in Ghana, when people see the bad guys see the fence, they just get turned off.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you don't know what you have in there waiting to catch them.
Exactly. And again, depends on your area. Obviously, at the end of the day, as we know, you can do all the security systems you like, but it's Jehovah Elohim who protects us. Because somebody can come from, you can be entering your house and somebody can be monitoring you and just come immediately behind you as you enter, and then hands up, let's say, yeah, God forbid. God forbid. So in all these things, it's Jehovah Elohim who looks after us. Yeah. Another optional component, is a Wi-Fi interface. You can get some energizers that have a Wi-Fi interface, which means you can be anywhere in the world and you can turn your electric fence on or off. Which is handy, obviously helpful. Another minor component I'll say is an LED light. Okay, some people like to know that the electric fence is on, just in case they forget. You can get an LED light that you put on the electric fence, and obviously if it's on, the light is on. If it's off, it's off. But obviously, the thief who's in the area can also see that, so perhaps that's not a good idea. But just to let you know that option is available. Then you also have a number of warning signs or labels which you need to place on the electric fence at various intervals. Yeah. Because you don't want your neighbor to get electric shock and to sue you because you didn't have a label or a sign, even though it's obvious. But obviously, from a legal point of view,
you should be able to protect yourself.
If your neighbor got electrocuted and you didn't have a warning sign or label, then you have some liability there.
The strict liability offense, as they call it.
Yeah.
That in a civil case or in a criminal case, either is not good at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you should be able to, whatever thing you have. Well, I'm talking from a legal point of view. Whatever thing you have in your premises shouldn't cause harm to your neighbor.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Whether your neighbor, not necessarily your next door neighbor, but anybody around the area who comes to you in good faith.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that means, once you have warning signs, then you've warned them about it. Okay. Now the other minor component, but very important, is surge protection. Okay. Now surge protection can be integral to the energizer, or you can simply, when you plug the energizer into the socket, that socket can have integral surge protection. Now, what is surge protection? What is a surge? A surge is, normally you have 230, 220 volts, but sometimes when you have lightning strikes, lightning strikes can cause a voltage surge. Okay, or sometimes they can be doing some work on the substation, the ECG, doing some switching, and that can cause a surge. A surge is a sudden increase in voltage that can come through your system and damage your equipment.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
We've seen in thunder and lightning, the AC unit go off and on. That is a surge coming through the system.
We've got a few fuses blown.
Exactly. So it's important. Obviously, this is the security system, so it's important that you have some sort of surge protection, either integral inside the energizer or as part of the socket that you plug into. Okay. All right. Now, this is another key thing: communication. All right. The importance of communication and coordination between the various trades. Okay. Is very important, but this all depends on how you split up the work. Okay, in our case, our electrician did all the external piping and all the cabling from the house electrical system to the electric fence. He put all the earth rods in and all the cables and all the pipes. He did all of that.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry guys, if you can hear some noise in the background, we just bought a couple of 2 small puppies, and they're very cute, but they're making a lot of noise right now, and so that's what you're hearing in the background, if you can hear it. Okay, so it was very important for the electric fence installer to guide the electrician, okay, so that the electrician installed every single pipe that was needed and every single cable that was needed for the proper operation of the electric fence. Okay, and guys, you know that if there's not proper communication between the trades, if you don't have a very good PM, that's when things can be missed, okay, and then you have to rework it, and that's what causes you money.
Sorry, what's PM?
Project manager, project manager, PM, project manager. Okay, now we decided to ask the electrician to do all that work, the piping and the cabling. That's just because of where we were on our project. Okay, now obviously it was easier for us to use the electrician to do that because he was already doing electrical work and we just added that to him. But you may choose to get the electric fence installer to do all the pipes and the cabling and the electric fence installation as well. That's also fine, so there is it's all a choice depending on the phase of your building, depending on what's happening on your building, which trades are there, who you've appointed and who you've not appointed. You have to work that out for yourself. So either the electric fence installer does everything, or the electrician does the infrastructure, and the fence guy comes in later on. Okay, right. So typical cost, how much for the electric fence? Okay, now we have a double plot, okay, double plot and fence going on all the way around both plots, and that was a cost of 4,800 Ghana cedis. That is an all-in cost, equipment and installation, 4,800 Ghana cedis, which is about £600 on your screen and 840 US dollars. Okay, so that's how much it costs for a double plot. Double plot is in Ghana 100 feet by 70 feet for each plot, approximately 650 square meters. Okay, and electric fence going all the way around. So that is a nice budget cost if you
it is actually
and a budget cost that you can use. And I mean, I guess you could work out the cost per linear meter of fence wall. If you have more than double plot, then you can obviously multiply it through. If you have a single plot, maybe divide it in half, and there you go. And there you go. So guys, I hope that was useful to you. As usual, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button so that you will always be aware when Asher and Gad upload an educative video for your viewing pleasure. Exactly. Don't forget that. So from you, it's
guys,
Yebeshia. See you next time.